Hello, Andrew Wasson from CreativeGuitarStudio.com. Thanks a lot for joining me for another one of these fireside chats that we've been doing week over week. I noticed a lot of nice comments, and I just finished a big recording project, and I'm about to go for a boot on my motorcycle and just kind of end the day with some fun. I've been working in my studio here for about 3.5 hours, and I'm sick of the place. I'm ready to get out of here. But I thought, I'd shoot a quick video and talk about a couple of things that are really important to do with communication. And we're going to cover basically three things. I want to talk about, what I think is important when you're communicating, sort of like word-based, text messages or emails as opposed to face-to-face, or at least on the telephone. So we're going to cover that a little bit. We're going to talk about also avoiding people's life dramas. And if you encounter people like that, maybe it's best to steer clear of those kind of people. And then the third thing that we're going to talk about is success in projects, and what I think is really important, and what gives you those stepping stones to get more and more success out of projects. So let's get the ball rolling, first of all, with this idea of communication skills in terms of text messaging and, let's say, emailing, as opposed to talking with people in person or on the telephone. Now, I'll give you a quick story about something that recently happened to me. We were redoing all of the contracts in the studio here for alarm monitoring, and I was checking out different companies, and I didn't like the big, corporation that I was with, and they kept raising their rates every year. I got kind of sick of it. I checked out some other things, asked around a little bit, and finally met up with a local monitoring station that's got contractors out. Met with the contractors, set up a deal. Things kind of like changed a little bit when we were rewiring the system, and they were doing a redo to patch in the new phone numbers to the new monitoring station, all that kind of thing with the alarm system. I don't know a lot about how alarm systems work, but these guys had to do their reset. And I guess there was some things in the contract I didn't like, and I didn't like the way things were set up. So I sent the guy a couple of emails before we hammered out the deal. And I think what happened in as little as 2 emails with this situation, I think the other guy really thought I was mad at him, and I was going to just not even go with the alarm monitoring with him at all. And I don't even understand what happened there. Maybe it was just some of the words in the email. Anyway, I could tell things were getting kind of off kilter. So I called him in the next day in the morning, and I just said, hey, I don't know where things are, what you think that things are doing or where they're going, but these are the 2 things I want. I outlined some changes I wanted to make, some of the billing changes and some of the contract changes on, especially canceling it at any point in time if I decided to do that. And I just kind of made my peace with 2 ideas I want to change on the contract, and he was blown away. He was like, oh, that's it? Oh, okay, I'll agree to that. And it was done, finished. And he was like, oh, I thought you were going to cancel on me. And it's funny, how word-based text messaging and emailing, you get the wrong impression. I've had it happen with almost everybody I know, whether it's my bookkeeper, maybe it's people I'm doing projects with. One time, somebody said something about they were going to buy a radio, or a little radio, and I just kind of read the message briefly, and I completely misunderstood what they meant in that message to me about a radio. And this is just simple stuff that goes haywire when you're dealing with text messaging and emailing. So my rule is I'm allowed for myself 2 of those, and then I'm going the other route. Meeting them for coffee, or maybe just calling them and getting everything hammered out. You can't beat a good phone call with someone you're doing business with. It goes, miles and miles beyond like 15 emails or text messages or something. So anyway, that's the first thing that I wanted to clear, because I think that's so important. Now, the next thing I want to talk about are, drama issues with people. I know that probably many of you have experienced that. I've experienced it tons. Now that I'm in a better position in life, and I'm older, and I've had, like a long track of success. A lot of people know who I am already if they're going to deal with me or do business with me. But the tougher aspect of this is when you're just starting out, those first years of getting started, especially as a musician. You get to know people pretty well, especially if you're in a band with them and working in a group situation. And what you want to avoid really is like going off to somebody's place like at 10 o'clock at night, and then they're going to cry to you about how their girlfriend was stupid, or their wife is cheated on them, or whatever. You just want to avoid all that stuff altogether and try your best to focus on what you got to do for a project. And then I personally think that a lot of times if you notice a person has a lot of drama going on in their life, it's best to almost like avoid those kind of people. It's different with people who have really well-balanced lives and they're doing extremely well for themselves. Those kind of people are great to hook up with for lunch or something like that. But it's the people whose lives are a mess. That's the best, the best solution there is to actually just kind of avoid those people a lot of times, because they can cause you trouble. And I've heard stories, even not with me personally, but where people even get into legal trouble with the police and stuff because certain situations have happened. I mean, I can recall one thing that happened with me that was really stupid, and I was when I was in one of my earliest bands that I ever had. One of the musicians in the band, I'm not going to go too deep into this because if they ever see this, I don't want them to understand fully that it was them. But their girlfriend, who they were breaking up with at the time, one time during the day, it was like, one afternoon, the phone rings and it's her. And she's asking me a lot of questions and I'm almost like, why are you phoning me? I'd only met her maybe twice, but she phoned my business line when I was teaching. I was in my office. I picked up. I talked to her briefly. And I couldn't figure out what was going on there, and I didn't even understand why she phoned. So what happened in the end, I guess she was trying to make the guy that was in the band with me jealous. She told him that I called her, and I was asking her out to go see a movie. It was a complete lie. Like everything to do with it was a lie. So I knew right away at that point, that guy, that whole situation, his girlfriend, avoid like the plague. Get those people out of my life. That was like my thought about it, because it's just going to lead to more stupidity and less. I don't need any of that in my life. I got things that I got to accomplish every day, and I don't need that kind of drama. So you have to kind of gauge people, how they behave, and make sure that they're not going to cause you problems. And if you think they may cause you problems, you got to tell them to go pound sand or whatever, go kick rocks. So anyway, now let's get into this last aspect. And I think that this last aspect is really important, because if you meet good people that are very helpful to you in your career and whatever projects those are, you have to allow them to, and I'm going to call it just allow them to be themselves, because maybe their personality might not jive 100% with your personality, but you can create great projects together. So you have to kind of allow them to be in their state of mind that helps them be driven and focused. And at the same time, if they have funny personality quirks or just an odd sense of being, and I'm sure you've met people like that too, they are just maybe a little bit strange, but you got to just let them be. And if they show up to the gig on time, if they always show up to do, let's say if they're working for you doing teaching, they show up to do the teaching, no problems, no complaints from anybody about them, everything's smooth. They just maybe have a little bit of a strange personality. And again, I'm sure you've met people like that. And it can be frustrating if you don't step back and realize the big picture. The only time it could be really a bit of an issue is if something about them is a problem, for you personally. I worked with a drummer one time that he was doing some work with this keyboard player, and I said to him after a while, I said, "Hey, man, I never see you jamming and doing gigs with that keyboard player anymore. What happened?" And he actually said, this was really funny. He said, the guy smelled so bad. It was absolutely crazy trying to put up working with him, especially in rehearsals, because like he smelled so bad. And I thought, wow, that it's the last thing you expect to hear about someone, is that they smell bad or whatnot. But in this day and age, it's really easy to buy soap and to take a shower. But anyway, I thought it was funny, that he just had to. He had enough, couldn't deal with it anymore, and the personality quirk of that person maybe not being great with personal hygiene. He just kind of hit his ceiling with it, and he had to be done. So, you know, like there's all kinds of things that'll come up, but I do know that musician was really good. That keyboard player was a great player, but if he had some kind of situation going on with his hygiene, well, I mean, maybe there's something there that needs to be checked, and maybe it's something that you can't work with. You know? But you know, this is the thing: is everything has to be about success with the project and success at meeting deadlines, and everything works out okay. And if there are little slightly odd personality quirks, well, they can be forgiven. Maybe if they grow to be too big, maybe they can't be forgiven, but it all depends on where they are on the spectrum, right? Now, if these three factors, you know, people's personalities, how you're communicating with people, you know, avoiding drama, avoiding problematic situations like that, if you can balance all of that out and get along nicely with people you work with, I have personally had people that I've worked with now for years and years, like some people over 10, over 15 years, and it's been absolutely fantastic, and we've had a lot of success doing what we're doing. So, you know, it is possible to meet the right people where all your personalities click and everything works out really well. But there will be your fair share of people that are kind of crazy and you can't deal with them, and that's just life. You know, you have to be ready to walk away in those situations. So whatever it is, breakdown of communication, you know, breakdown of how things are going with people's personal lives, a breakdown maybe in just you can't put up with their personality quirks anymore, then perhaps you need to walk away from the entire situation. And those are things that you need to consider. So I wanted to, I'll wrap up now. I just wanted to kind of talk about those points. I think it's three big ones that are really important and that are going to allow you to either have success or not have success. And if you have poor levels of success with people because of one of these three situations, you have to also figure out ways to walk away and to do it nicely so that people are happy and everything's cool. So anyway, guys, I'm going to wrap up this one. Have an absolutely fantastic week, and I will catch up with you again for another one of these in a week's time or so. And remember to check out my other YouTube channel where all the lessons are on at Creative Guitar Studio on YouTube here. And then also, of course, there's my Patreon, patreon.com/Creative Guitar Studio. And hey, my website, creativeguitarstudio.com. That's where all my courses are. You can take all the courses there. So I look forward to catching up with you soon for another one of these. Have a great week, and we'll catch up with you next time. Bye for now.